Of homeowners and former homeowners who believe they were fleeced by Fleet Finance rallied today to kick off a campaign to turn up the heat on the mortgage lender. Fleet has insisted the company broke no laws, but under an agreement with the state is offering 18,000 Georgia customers a settlement that amounts to about $160 each. The Fleet customers say that doesn't even come close to covering their losses, in some cases, the losses of their homes.
We are not victims of defeat. We are not victims of defeat. Because we are fed up with Fleet.
Some 400 people who say they were ripped off by Fleet's excessive interest rates and unfair lending practices, some who lost their homes, are carrying on their battle for what they feel is a fair deal, even though Fleet has satisfied Georgia's Office of Consumer Affairs. Last month, Attorney General Michael Bowers, citing arrogance and greed on the part of former Fleet management, announced that an investigation found Fleet in violation of 7 provisions of the Georgia Fair Business Practices Act. Without admitting that any laws were broken, Fleet agreed to a $115 million settlement, including $30 million in payments divided among Fleet's Georgia customers. Helen Johnson is among those who consider the settlement a joke. She and the others have begun receiving this document from Fleet. In return for a payment of $162.73, the borrower agrees to release Fleet Finance from any and all claims, actions, and obligations of any kind whatsoever. Attorneys representing Fleet borrowers in a class action lawsuit against the lender say the release from liability violates a court order and have filed a motion asking a Cobb County judge to declare any signed release invalid. Helen Johnson wants no part of the settlement.
This is what you call robbing somebody without a gun. They don't have to have no gun. They hadn't had no gun. They have robbed these poor people of their land. And would have got me if I hadn't when I got a lawyer.
Fleet has changed management, promised to reduce interest rates, set aside money for low-interest loans, but has said repeatedly the company never broke any laws.
We were lawful in the practices that we had within the company. We are glad that it's behind us. We feel that this is one way to get it behind us and get on with the future of the company.
But attorney Howard Rothbloom says Fleet's efforts won't help most of the people who were allegedly ripped off by Fleet using lending practices Rothbloom calls homejacking.
It is outrageous that if a person uses a gun to take someone's car, they will go to prison. But if a lender uses a pen to take someone's house, then all they have to do is pay $162 in restitution. That's not really fair.
These Fleet Finance borrowers, they call themselves Fleet Finance victims, are launching what they call Operation Fed Up. They say it will include a massive letter-writing campaign to the Federal Reserve Board and picketing at the Federal Reserve Bank here in Atlanta.
The Fleet borrowers say they'll use the King holiday to launch their campaign, marching to the Federal Reserve Bank and picketing for 3 hours Monday, and they hope for several days after that.
Attorneys for the Fleet borrowers say they're targeting the Federal Reserve Board in order to bring financial pressure against Fleet. The attorneys say Fleet is largely unregulated, but the Fed can prevent Fleet's parent company from acquiring additional lenders.